benefits that happen that you might not know you're headed for. In the beginning, things seem really bleak. You wonder, am I going to have fun again? Is life ever going to be the same? What is life going to be like when I don't drink? And maybe you don't feel very good. Maybe you feel tired all the time. Maybe you feel like you want to drink. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe your overall energy level is down. Maybe you're just having a hard time getting going and learning a new life without alcohol. Well, we've been there. I've been there. For the first year of my sobriety, it was actually pretty mellow. Not a lot happened, but there was a few things that changed in my life. A few hidden bonuses, if you will, that happen from staying sober. But the problem is that a lot of people don't get that far to have those happen. They start a program of stopping drinking and, every 9 months or every 6 months or every month, they go back out and drink again, never giving their body and their mind time to actually realize these hidden benefits that no one talks about. So today we're going to talk about those to give you some motivation to stay sober and be in it for the long haul, because there are things that are right around the corner. A good life is right around the corner if you're willing to be patient. So Terry, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I've definitely reaped many of the benefits from stopping drinking.
Mm.
Definitely, and life's good. Not good all the time. It's all right. Yeah, but like it's great. And good morning to Dave, David, Nick, Ty, and everybody else who's on here. Appreciate you guys being here. For me, when I drank, let me just go over that real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that stuff, but when I drank, my life revolved around alcohol. It totally revolved around alcohol. I found that other than those acute consequences like the legal problems, the financial problems, the other problems that happen because of drinking, accidents, stuff like that. In fact, I have a thumb that doesn't bend from drinking. Anyways, besides that, I was stressed all the time. I was tired. I was not healthy. I mean, I was obsessed with alcohol. That life was definitely not going well, not going smoothly. And I think many of you drinkers or past drinkers can relate to that. Things were just not that good. I had Now let me say that when I was drinking, I was pretty happy. I was a happy drunk. It's not like I was angry and life was horrible. I was happy. I had a good time. But a lot of these emotional things and mental things happened when I wasn't drinking or when I was trying to stay sober. And it was difficult to deal with. And that's what I found is that when what happens is when we drink regularly, we get these increased levels of stress when we're not drinking, and that's what happened with me. And also when I wasn't drinking, I kind of had that diminished like mood that when I wasn't drinking. The happies weren't quite as high. The depression was definitely down there, but maybe it wasn't quite as low because the I would just crave a drink, and then the drink would alleviate that when I finally got it. And also, I kind of had this lower baseline. As my drinking kept going and going, I needed more and more alcohol to get those happy feelings when I was drinking. And on top of that, alcohol use, you guys have all heard of many of the health effects that happens when you chronically drink or even just moderately drink. And alcohol, it increases all sorts of different physical issues. It can give you a higher risk of cancer. It can lead to some heart issues. I know for me, I had high blood pressure, and I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I don't take medicines for it or anything. The stopping alcohol fixed that issue. There could be problems with your liver. There can be a weakened immune system. Obviously, it can cause mental health conditions. I mean, that's was just a direct result of when I wasn't drinking. I had that higher stress level, and I was obsessed with alcohol. Learning problems, and it's harder to learn when you're drinking. Definitely, digestive problems. I know that when I wasn't drinking, um, my stomach hurt. And the weird thing is, when I did drink, my stomach didn't hurt. I mean, that's kind of seems backwards, but that's how it worked with me. It can cause pancreas problems, vitamins deficiency, all sorts of different health issues that chronic alcohol use can cause. And that's not even to mention all the social implications, like can hurt your family, cause divorces, domestic abuse. Um, I became unemployed. I quit, but that's because I wanted to drink more. But causes unemployment, homelessness. I mean, all sorts of stuff. Financial problems, definitely. I was just spending money, not just the money that I was spending on alcohol, but oh, I want this. I want a new stereo system. I don't need one. I'm going to get it because that's going to make me happy. Things like that. I need this car. All these different things that my alcohol use cause, and it causes many problems with a lot of us. And then we hit this bottom, and maybe this bottom might be a super low bottom. And for me, it was almost losing my life, but it was rough. But some people don't may not hit that bottom, but the early recovery, we still have these problems. These things don't magically change right away. That's a difficult thing. Marcus had just alluded to that some of these issues they don't go away right away. Sometimes it takes time. And for me, it did take time. I mean, early recovery for me was there wasn't a lot of anxiety, but there was still definitely anxiety. There was depression. I didn't know what to do. I like had to stay away from all my friends. At least I thought they were friends because they were, all I did with them was drink. I, I'd get angry easily. I had guilt and shame over the things I'd done from drinking. I did not have very high self-esteem. It was pretty low at that point. And all these emotions, they're normal for people. This is what happens. Our brain is recovering. It's hard to get through that. But if we stay sober, it does slowly get better. And I know a lot of you on our shows here have mentioned the one biggest thing that they notice when they get sober is no more hangovers. And there's a lot of other obvious things that you guys have probably all know about that when you've quit drinking that happen. I mean, you start to feel better. Now, that starting to feel better may not be fast. For most people, it's pretty slow. And for me, it took a long time. I was pretty sick, but I did start to feel better. Another one that usually happens, and most people complain about this right away, is they don't sleep right when they get sober. But it does get better. I sleep great now, and it took me, I'd say it took a few months before I started to sleep better. But but it happened, and I sleep pretty good now. And there's other little things like your skin. It can improve when you're drinking. You're constantly dehydrated. It causes your skin to get all wrinkly, and it gets better. It improves. Your thinking starts to improve. I know one thing for sure is now my brain was really cloudy maybe that first year, but it slowly started to dissipate, and my thinking is a lot more clear now. I have a lot more clarity in what I'm going to do, what I want to do, my goals, my creativity, things like that. They're a lot better now. Back when I was drinking, it was just all about where am I going to get that bottle? How am I going to make sure I don't run out? Things like
Yeah.
that. You know, physically, physically, other things like your cardiovascular risk can lessen. I mean, obviously, you need to go see a doctor when you're trying to quit. After you quit, that's what I did. I had medical help to quit. I also went and had a physical after I stopped drinking. For me, it was a couple months after to get a baseline, what I needed to still work on, and things that I needed to do for myself physically. But your cancer risk can lessen. You can lose weight. I lost weight. I was 50 pounds heavier when I was drinking, and I was able to start exercising when I was in the depth of drinking. There was no exercise going on, nothing at all except maybe walking the dog for a mile or something like that. But another obvious one is you save money. I don't buy those things that I don't need. Plus, I don't buy alcohol. I mean, most people spend a few $100 a month on alcohol. That's if they're just going with the cheap stuff, and some of the other things for me, and we can get into this, and I want to get Marcus in here, but do you need to take care of something there?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go on to this then. So, what uh, a big thing for me was I was on much less of an emotional roller coaster. I had less anxiety. Uh, I had more energy in dealing with whatever that I had to deal with that day, and that helps immensely. When the alcohol finally was starting to get out of my system, I ended up having a lot better focus, and I'd already mentioned that. But some of the things that you don't really hear about too much, and I had already talked a little bit about this, was the friends. You know, I had a lot of friends, a ton, but all I did was drink with them. Nowadays, I kind of have sort of fewer friends that I consider real close friends, but they're higher quality friends. A lot of these people that I drank with, um, they were just there because they drank like I did. We told the same old stories sitting around day after day, and it's just went on and just that endless circle of talking about whatever's going on in the games that are happening, whatever's going on in politics, stuff like that. But my friends are much higher quality now, and we it's a good thing. For me, another thing that changed that I didn't really expect is kind of my interests and my hobbies have kind of changed. Um, I I do a lot of hiking now. I do a lot of cycling now. I didn't do that stuff when I was drinking, and I have a lot healthier habits, and I spend more time with my family. Before it was my parents. They lived quite a ways away from me. I'd go visit them every few months. I thought I was being a responsible person, but really, what did I do? I hung out with them for a half an hour each day and went and did my own thing, drinking.
Hmm.
And that's what kind of a family relationship is that? As my parents, after I got sober, my parents were still alive. I ended up going and helping them, being with them, being a real son to them. And it's a great thing. It makes me feel good. It makes them feel good. It's a great thing. Um, yeah. So there's so many other things that the list just goes on and on. And I wanted to get Marcus's ideas in here on what has improved for him in getting sober.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the basics here, as Copilot AI has told us, improve mental health. Back when I was drinking, I was more of an idiot than I am today, a lot more. And I didn't think through my decisions. And one of the things that I did, because for the first year sober, I really had to learn to live. I wasn't working a whole lot. And I took a bunch of online books and seminars about critical thinking because I didn't know how to think, so I needed to learn how to think. And one of the benefits of being sober, if you choose to harness it, is you can increase your intelligence and your IQ. A lot of people think, oh, you're born with an IQ and that's that. For most people, that's not true. It can change, and what you do can change it. Being drunk and watching TV and sitting around and thinking you're smart is not going to increase your IQ. It's not going to increase your intelligence. Getting sober and learning new things, you can. And one of the things a lot of people say when they get sober is they're like, I never realized I had so much time. The time you get back sober, I mean, you could get a second job, you can learn a new thing, you could start a business, you could do pretty much anything. And one of the things that I kind of knew would happen when I got sober, but I didn't know it would be as good, was my business stuff, right? Being able to make smart, rational business decisions has pretty much taken my business to 7 times what it was when I got sober. I mean, I would have never been able to do this drinking. And, having the mindset of everything happens to me, poor me, everything's bad, it was just slowly, slowly draining the life out of me. And compare that or put that with drinking, pair that with drinking. it was even worse. Better sleep quality. Last night I did not sleep well. The night before I didn't sleep well. They're still better than when I drank. Like, even though I'm like, wow, I could just go do nothing today, I could still muster up enough to get things done. Whereas before I would wallow in self-pity. I'd probably be drunk by now. It's about 11:48 here. I'd be drunk because I'm like, hey, I woke up, I didn't feel good. Best thing to do is drink. As Terry said, he didn't have a stomach ache when he drank. And I would venture to say you did. You were just taking something that made you ignore it. And a lot of us, we
Yeah.
ignore health problems because of drinking. Like, it's causing havoc. I remember I went to the doctor and my liver enzymes were through the roof. And they were like, you're 30. You shouldn't have this. You have this, that, and the other. Broke my finger when I was drinking. A lot of crazy stuff. And a lot of it was just dampening everything, enhanced cognitive function, being able to think clear. Like, if this was 10 years ago, I would be flipping out about the election as if it has anything to do with my life, which usually it doesn't. Yeah, there's some changes, but the news is like, oh, it's terrible. And I would have believed it. I've been like, oh, if one guy wins or the other, depending on what channel, it's the end of the world no matter who wins. Just watch both channels and you can be double depressed and everything will suck double. And looking at that, I believed it. Now I'm able to be like, that's marketing. This is their time to get ad revenue. That's all it's about. If I say this guy bad, this girl bad, that guy whatever, I get ad revenue. That's all it's about. It's a time. It's an ebb and flow. It's harvest time for that stuff. But I got sucked into believing all sorts of things. And I remember in rehab, our counselor James, he came to me and he's like, if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for everything. So figure out what you stand for and make it your own. Figure out what you think, not what the TV thinks, not what this thinks, not that. And now, being sober, I can actually own my opinions. I can own my thoughts and say, those are mine. So if I'm crazy, that's my thought, not someone else's. Before, I was crazy on other people's thoughts. That's dangerous because then you don't call the shots. You don't think anything of it. So that was one thing that helped, was the enhanced cognitive function, increased energy levels. I got way more energy now that I don't drink. Improved digestion health, definitely. This is a big one. And you can deal with different foods. I know when you're hungover, you want to go to the fast food junk. That's what you want. Terry was hungover. He's probably sitting there like, why don't they deliver pizzas at 9:30 a.m.? What's the matter? What's
Yeah.
going on here? And I would do that. Now it's much more moderation. Like occasionally I'll
Yeah.
have a soda to perk my sugar. But I'm much more health conscious now than I was when I was drinking, which is good because, the older you get, you got to pay attention to that stuff. Improved
Well, that's
digestive.
that. Oh, I was just going to say that's one of the other things is just being in touch with your physicality and your physical self. And I'm definitely, when I was drinking, I still exercised. I was like this ticking time bomb. I exercised kind of excessively even when I was drinking. But I'd get an injury or something would hurt. I'd just drink and exercise right through it.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, I know when I need to rest, and I know, oh, I better go see the doctor about this issue or something like that. That's big. It's huge to be able to do that. It help. I still have I had things that would stay injured because I just keep drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I let them heal. So yeah. I did
Absolutely.
want to touch on what Ty said because he brought up something that I thought was kind of interesting. And the thing you said, the thing I noticed is over these almost 6 years, people try to take advantage of you once sober. Anyone else have or had that problem? And then you went on to clarify because David West was kind of confused as to what you were saying, and you said that when people try to get you to do or say yes about things or do things that is clearly a no. One thing I did when I got sober, and it took a while and it took some learning on how to say no, but I did develop no. I developed, it took time and it's hard, but I only do things that I want to do. Obviously in life, there's things that you need to do anyways that you don't necessarily want to do, but But as far as when people are asking me to do things that I don't want to do, I am able to say no. And that's just developing boundaries. And that was actually a thing I did not have when I was drinking, was those boundaries of
Hmm.
saying no. I'd be just the yes man because I want people to like me. I want to be accepted.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's like, okay, no, I don't need to be accepted. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And it's
I'm
interesting.
not doing this.
It's interesting too because he says, I've even had people say you were much easier to deal with when you were drinking. Yes and no. I mean, you know, being a yes man, being a people pleaser, that's something for another topic, which I deal with. I struggle with that a lot. But being a kind person versus being a drunk pushover are two different things. And what I would say is if someone's going to say you were much easier to deal with when you were drinking, say, so I should relapse and risk everything for your benefit? Is that how we should do it? It's a good way to set a boundary to kind of throw it at them and say, hey, look, so you're saying you'd rather have a drunk person that just gives you what you want. Okay, well, maybe I need to chill on the contact with that person. And, obviously, for some people, you will have personality changes when you get sober. Some people get angry, some people get really kind, some people get really docile, some people get hyper and irate. It just depends. And all of those are just emotions. You can change those. Like you choose who you get to be. That's the biggest benefit I would say to being sober is now I get to choose who I want to be. Before, I was being pushed buttons by my past. Like everything that led me up to being a 34-year-old drunk was all just pattern. You could have predicted it. You could have said, okay, here's how he's going to live. Put him through these. This is what's going to happen. Now I can see through it. I can see, okay, well, that's a boundary. That is because of this. That's because of this. I am just a human being that's flawed, that went through things, that basically predict the outcome of how I'm going to respond to things in the future. Now, before, when I was drinking, I didn't know that. I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Well, you're human. Welcome to the human condition. That's what's wrong with you. Same thing that's wrong with everyone else. And now I realize, like, okay, I get to choose who I want to be. I get to choose. And there are times when I get taken advantage of, but I actually like that part of me that helps people. So I get to make a choice and say, do I want to get taken advantage of sometimes, or do I want to be a closed up, I'm not going to help anyone because the world is bad? Well, I'm going to choose to put good out there. If the world's bad, the world's bad. Can't really do much about that. All I can do is control what I'm doing. If someone thinks or wishes it was easier when I was drinking for them, well, I need to stay sober for me. That's what I need to do. And in the long run, it's better for me. It's better for them. They just don't know it yet. They just want what they want, and they're not getting it. And that's what you're going to find. I'll never forget years ago when I was a magician. I was like 15, 16 years old as a magician. And randomly one day, I found an ad in the Magic magazine, and I called this guy up. I'm like, yeah, maybe this guy will help me with my shows or whatever. So I called this guy up, and I got to talking. We were talking for like an hour, and he was like, the funny thing about magic is adults are just big kids. I was like, that's interesting, because I'm trying to be like this suave magician when in actuality, this is the same. It's just big kids. That's all they are. And it's kind of the same now, where it's like, we just go through life and we're just big kids. We deal with things the same way. And a lot of people will throw tantrums when they don't get what they want. Now, adult tantrums look different than kid tantrums, but they're still tantrums. And when we realize, hey, that's all that it is. That's his programming making him the way he is. This is my programming making it the way I am. I realize mine exists so I can change things. If you don't realize it, you can't change. But now that I realize it, I can go through life and I can be like, oh, I kind of acted like an idiot there. Or I did get sucked into politics. Or I did get sucked into this argument. That's my programming. Sometimes I fail at it. Very, very interesting. And you start to realize, I'm just going through this stuff. I'm going to stay sober because when I drink, things are worse. I don't like it. I didn't like being drunk. I hated it. And now I get to choose who I want to be. And that's probably the biggest gift sobriety gives us. Now I get to choose. Before I was just, this is who I am, whatever. No, I could be like, yeah, I can go read a
Yeah, you
book
get to
and
choose.
yeah, exactly.
You've been given freedom, and that's what I feel is that I've been given this immense freedom to do whatever I want. That includes if I wanted to go take a drink. But for
Absolutely.
me, that my self-imposed freedom stops there. I
Mhm.
don't get to go take a drink. That is off the table. I don't drink. And that's part of my accountability. Before I did not have accountability, self accountability. I was not accountable to myself, so I drank. I would have consequences and I would blame it on something else.
Hmm.
Or I would blame it on my drinking. But either way, it would not come down to the fact that I had to stop drinking. Nowadays, I do hold myself accountable, and I'm also able to celebrate when I do things positive that I feel were beneficial in my life. And
Absolutely.
but then on the downside, I'm accountable for not doing things. I want to put out more videos to guys, and I'm not doing it. That's my fault. Nobody else's fault. And I want to revamp our program, make it, improve, redo all the videos, make them all better. And that's my fault, just because I haven't done it. But but the freedom I have allows me to recognize that, and it allows me to say, hey, this is where I'm at. I can be realistic with myself. I can be honest with myself. This allows me to be honest with other people and just make me a better person. Ty, you were mentioning that you're antisocial now, and that with almost six, I think you mean 6 years sober, not 6 hours. But yeah, you said that earlier. Anyways, you're an introvert. You prefer to be alone. I know a lot of people that are sober alcoholics that are kind of in the same boat as you. But actually, even though I'm on video right now, I am kind of a loner myself. I have no problem hanging out by myself, just not seeing anybody for days on end. But at the same time, I do realize, for me at least, it's important to get out there and have social interaction with other people. So I force myself to do it. It's not so much forcing anymore, but I just go do things like I love to go cycling by myself, but instead I joined a cycling club and I get social interaction there. Things like that. That's what I do. I do the things I like to do with people that are of like mind, and that helps a lot. It helps me keep an even keel in life.
Cool. Want to talk about our program real quick?
Oh, sure. So we have a program that will help you stay sober, and what we talk about in a real way. Um, the just getting a sober mindset. That's what I try to do. Is I try to live with a sober mindset, taking alcohol off the table. Our program is a 30. It's a 30 day program. You can take as much time or as little time as you want with it. We have MP4s, MP3s that you can go through. There's a little section on each day that tells you what to do from today to the next day, on what you can do to stay sober and what you can concentrate on to help improve your mental condition. And you can also get a private sobriety call with Marcus and myself, and um, you can go join our Facebook group. Just ask to join, and I'll check you out, make sure you're a real person, and let you come on in and talk to other people that are going through some of the same issues that you might be going through. So if you're interested, go over to talksober.com, click that yellow button, join our online recovery class.
All right.
And
Awesome.
thanks. Yeah,
Awesome,
go ahead.
guys. So if you guys have any topics or anything you want us to cover, let us know. Hop on over to Talk Sober, join us in there, and you can be antisocial and an introvert and go there and still get a lot because it's all online, and you get to talk to other people in there as you see fit, rather than having people come up and bug you. That's always good, right? So awesome
That's
stuff.
right.
Thanks.